Hey everyone, I'm finally back. My college semester just got done. I'm on summer vacation right now, so I'll be able to make more videos. And to kind of, as a welcome back present, I thought it'd be kind of good to both do something that was similar to my last video that I did before this long absence, and as well as kind of do something that is kind of new at the same time. So what I decided to do is my last video was about what makes a good movie. So now I'm going to talk about what makes a bad movie. So in this video, if you're a filmmaker or if you're a critic or if you're just someone who likes to watch movies, these are the things that you never want to see in a movie. So I'm about to talk about things that you'll never want to see in a film. And if a film does this, it's either trying to be intentionally bad, like a grindhouse film or a cult film, or it's just a bad movie in general. So, like I said, this is kind of the opposite of the video I previously made before this one. Um, so, the first thing that a film should never do is should never have a bad storyline. If your film has a bad storyline, you're not going to make a good movie. A good example of this is the film Watchmen by Zack Snyder. Probably the most visually beautiful graphic novel adaptation to the screen ever, but the storyline was god awful. And to me, that's what's kind of ruined my experience with Watchmen is just the fact that the storyline, there was so much to the graphic novel that getting it to the screen in a reasonable amount of time was just too unrealistic. It would have been better off as a miniseries or just anything better that would have allowed it to have more time to explain itself. So Watchmen was an example of a bad storyline. It was visually great. It had everything going for it. It had the characters going for it. It had the right cast and everything, and even the director itself. But the storyline went kerplop. Another thing that film should never do is have bad character development. Once again, Watchmen did this. Um, it just because they tried to cover so much and because they had to be brief with so many things because of covering so much material, the characters couldn't be developed that well. Um, I haven't read the graphic novel all the way through, but from what I know and from what I've heard from other people, it does sound like the character development is much stronger in the graphic novel. And once again, because of the time constraint of the film, Watchmen couldn't do this. Um, so a film should always have good character development, whether they're going through something good and something goes bad and they have to work through it, or something bad happens to them and something they have to work for something to make everything good in their life go on. So a film has to have good character development, and if your film has a bad character development within your characters in the movie, more than likely you're not going to make a good film. Um, a film should also have a bad film always have always gives us reasons not to care about what's going on. So if in your film, if there's no reason as to why we have to care about what's going on, a good example of this is Battle LA with Aaron Eckhart back when that came out. There really was no reason to care. You watch the film, you see what's going on, you know what's going on, but there's no reason for us to care. We don't feel for the characters. We don't. If they win, hey, yay, all fun and dandy. But if they lose, we really don't care because we don't know a lot about the characters. There's a lot of other films that fall into this category, but Battle LA really stood out for me in that category. There really was no reason to care about that movie. I mean, they're okay, great. They have to fight off this war. Okay, great. Um, but there's no reason for us to care. Another bad thing that films do, or at least what bad films do, is that when the director has a very poor persuasion as to convincing us what they want us to believe by the end of the film. Um, so if the director doesn't persuade us with the message that he or she wants to get across to us, if it doesn't get across to us, if there is no persuasion being made throughout the film, more than likely your film's not going to be that successful. So give us something to persuade us to care about what's going on, or give us a message, persuade us to believe in that message that you're trying to give us. So a good persuasion has to happen. Another thing that bad movies do is they don't follow their genre very well. A good example of this is Alice in Wonderland by Tim Burton. Um, that film, I had a hard time thinking, is this a fantasy? Is this a horror film? Is it a drama? Is it a romance? Is it a comedy? I really couldn't tell what genre that film was trying to be. It was quite clear that it was fantasy. At least that was one of the genres it had because you know all the bunnies and fairies and mystical creatures and everything in this fantasy world. But the film was so poorly made. There was no storyline. That it was just so hard to tell what genre it was trying to be. Um, so Alice in Wonderland is a perfect example of a film that doesn't even know what genre it's meant to be. So always make sure that you know what genre your film is. Otherwise, more than likely, once again, it's not going to be successful. Another thing that bad films do is they have little to no messages at all. If we're done watching your film, a good example of this is Swordfish. I remember I was trying to watch that film the other day, and the film ends so abruptly, you don't even know what the film is trying to convince you of. Um, it's just like, okay, they do this and this and this, and what's the message? Um, there's a lot of films that pretty much any film that ends abruptly has this problem with it. Um, if there's no messages, if there's no morals to be learned, no things to be learned, um, you got to give us something. I mean, you got to give us something to think about when we leave the theater or we're done watching the DVD or whatever we're doing. Give us a message or something to give you know, like a food for thought kind of thing. So if your film doesn't have a message to it, once again, it's not going to be successful. Um, so I'm glad to be back, you guys. I just kind of wanted to make a quick opposite of the previous video I made, just to kind of as a welcome brag present, saying, you know, hey, I'm back. We're going to do a recap, and we're going to do something new at the same time. You know, something negative about film rather than something positive about it, and once again, just recapping the stuff I pretty much previous mentioned in my other video. So I'm back, guys. I'm hoping to make some more videos. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you more soon for my next videos.